Everybody can be great because everybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to know Einstein's theory of relativity to serve. You don't have to know the second theory of thermodynamics and physics to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love. Every year, on the third Monday of January, people across the United States honor the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. by volunteering in their communities. Dr. King dedicated his life to working for tolerance, equality, and freedom for all Americans. Martin Luther King Jr. was born in Atlanta, Georgia on January 15, 1929. He is best known as a civil rights activist who spoke out against segregation and unequal treatment based on a person's race. As a young preacher, Dr. King helped found the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, a group that used peaceful protests to enact change. Dr. King and the SCLC participated in many of the biggest events of the civil rights movement in the 1950s and 60s, including the Montgomery bus boycott, the Selma to Montgomery marches in Alabama, and the March on Washington. These events raised awareness of racial inequality in the United States and ended many segregation practices. It was at the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom in 1963 where Dr. King delivered his famous "I Have a Dream" speech, which continues to inspire those who work for freedom and equality to this day. The March on Washington helped spark the passing of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. This law banned discrimination and segregation based on race, color, religion, sex, and country of origin. Martin Luther King Jr. was a charismatic leader who inspired people from all around the world by speaking out against the moral errors of segregation. He and other civil rights activists spurred real, positive change in the lives of millions of African Americans. In 1964, Dr. King was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for his leadership and commitment to the American civil rights movement. On April 4, 1968, while in Memphis, Tennessee for a protest, Dr. King was assassinated on the balcony of his hotel by a white supremacist named James Earl Ray. The news of his death spread outrage and sorrow around the globe. Representative John Conyers from Michigan introduced legislation for a holiday dedicated to Dr. King only 4 days after his death, but many members of government tried to stop the bill from passing. Congressman Conyers started a petition in favor of the holiday, which was signed by 6 million people from all over the country. Even with millions wanting it, the idea was not immediately accepted by those in government, but Congressman Conyers and Representative Shirley Chisholm from New York reintroduced the holiday bill every chance they got. 15 years later, when public pressure was at an all-time high, Congress finally passed the bill, and President Ronald Reagan signed it into law in 1983. The first Martin Luther King Jr. Day was celebrated 3 years later on January 20, 1986. Today, we honor a great man who had a dream that we would all live together peacefully and be judged by the content of our character rather than the color of our skin. A man who asked all Americans to work together to solve the nation's problems. As Dr. King famously asked, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Now, let's ask some students your age about what they think about this holiday and what it means to them.
I know that Martin Luther King, he was a big man in history. He changed what civil rights are today.
He led that big rebellion against segregation.
In the 60s, there was segregation.
People wouldn't be able to do certain things because of their skin color.
Black and white people couldn't be together. They had to use different fountains. They couldn't go to the same school or the bathroom.
Giving up your seat on a bus or not being able to eat in a part of a restaurant.
If it weren't for him, maybe it would still be like that today.
He ended segregation and he did it without violence.
Civil rights was a big change because of Dr. Martin Luther King.
If Martin Luther King wasn't even born, the civil rights would be the same.
Our country would be segregated and history of America would be changed a whole lot.
Everything that he accomplished was important is because
we don't have like total equality, and we can continue using his work to try and get everyone to be equal.
He taught people not to lash back in a violent way. He taught them to use words, and words brought his legacy all the way here to help people grow.
We can show tolerance towards others by treating them the way we want to be treated.
Maybe think about, what if I was that person? What if I was being made fun of, and put themselves in somebody else's shoes?
You should never really listen to people who are being negative towards you, because if someone's negative towards you, then they're just going to bring you down, and no one wants to be brought down. Don't judge people how they're looking and that stuff.
They can stop thinking about how they look and just do what they normally do. Just stop thinking about how they look.
because there's a bunch of people out there, and some of them aren't bad and some of them are good.
No matter what they look like, we could help them, or we can make new friends with anyone.
Service is like doing something without somebody telling you.
Without getting paid, and they help out the community. Doing your own part and not really worrying about what other people think about you.
Like helping other people do something that maybe they can't, or they're unable to do that.
You do it because you want to, you don't get paid for it, and you do it kind of help everyone out.
And it's doing it for your community, not for yourself, not for money, not for anything, just for your community. There's a lot of ways you can help.
Like, you could show good examples and being good stewards, like picking up something that you didn't drop.
We can volunteer at shelters, work at food pantries, and contribute.
We go to nursing homes and we spend time with the people in the nursing homes.
And we could donate to children that don't have as much as us.
When I helped, it made me feel good because even though I wasn't getting paid, I was helping others in need.
And I felt really good after that because I knew I did something right.